from the Figure 4 Online Studios in beautiful Bothell, Washington, exclusively at WrestlingObserver.com. You're listening to the Bryan and Vinny Show with your hosts, Bryan Alvarez and Big Vinny V.
Samoa Joe, everybody. It's Bryan and Vinny Show. March 5, 2017, figure4online.com/wrestlingobserver.com. Oh, here we go. This fucking show. I may as well mute your mic for a while, because I'm going to fucking go on for about an hour here. Listen, everybody. Listen to me. Let's start off with, the good news, okay? There was some good wrestling on this show. I thought that the opening match with Samoa Joe, good match. I thought the tag team title match, it was fine. Sasha Banks, Nia, wasn't very good. We had a long string here of horrible stuff. Neville and Jack Gallagher was awesome. It was great. I would go as far as to say it was worth the $9.99 that I paid for the WWE. That's how much I liked that match. I loved it. It's $9.99. Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman in the ring, that was a really good match. Bayley and Charlotte, that was a really good match. Goldberg, Kevin Owens went 15 seconds once they rang the bell. It went exactly as I predicted it. Exactly down to the timing of everything. The bell rings, Jericho's music hits, spear, jackhammer, 1, 2, 3. Exactly how I expected it to go. As far as the booking on this show, we got to talk about this. Many months ago, I saw the proposed card for WrestleMania. Now, some of it has changed. I don't care to rant about how I'm not getting a John Cena Samoa Joe match, which I was really looking forward to. When I saw that they were going to do John Cena Samoa Joe, I was like, God damn, that's a fucking hell of a match for WrestleMania. Now it's John Cena and his girlfriend against Miz and his girlfriend. I don't know what the hell Samoa Joe's doing on the show. I prayed with every ounce of my being that if Vince McMahon changed his mind on one idea, it would be AJ Styles versus Shane McMahon. But goddamn, it doesn't look like they're gonna. Now, do any of the finishes that got changed on this show, or any of the decisions that were made, does it really matter? Not really. I mean, does it matter that Roman Reigns beat Braun Strowman? Is Braun Strowman dead? No. Does it matter that Bayley pinned Charlotte? No. Does it matter that Nia Jax got rolled up and pinned by Sasha Banks? None of this really matters all that much. But it is indicative of a larger problem. And this is not about me being mad that I had some predictions, I had some fantasy booking, and I was wrong about it. Because you know what? In a million years, I would never have predicted at Survivor Series 2016 that Goldberg was going to come in and spear and jackhammer Brock Lesnar in 1 minute and 26 seconds. I fucking never would have guessed that in my whole life. I never would have predicted it. You know what? When it happened, I was like, son of a bitch, that was pretty fucking awesome. That was way better than anything I could have imagined. But these decisions they made on this show. Let's start with Nia Jax and Sasha. Does anybody care? No. Nobody cares. But you know what? They fucking went on and on about how Nia Jax is this big powerhouse. She's not like other girls. I think they said she was undefeated on pay-per-view. All this talk for what? She got rolled up and pinned by Sasha Banks. This plays into Bayley and Charlotte. You know, I thought that Bayley was going to go to WrestleMania. She was going to challenge Charlotte for the title in a singles match. And on the biggest stage of them all, she was going to beat Charlotte. She was going to win the title and break the streak on the same night. Instead, they did one of 9 million random title changes on Raw, so they screwed that up. They gave Bayley the belt on Raw. Then I thought, well, you know what? You can do some sort of finish on this pay-per-view here where either Charlotte can win the title or Bayley can win Charlotte can win via DQ maybe, and Bayley keeps the belt. The whole point of this is Bayley's hometown, the Raw pay-per-view after WrestleMania is in San Jose. So, you know what? She can't win the title for the first time, but she can break Charlotte's streak at that pay-per-view in San Jose. Well, that's fucking out the window right now, because after building this up for like 18 fucking straight shows, they ended Charlotte's win streak just randomly out of nowhere at fucking Fast Lane. Why? What the fuck was the point of building up 18 straight pay-per-views to ever just have the streak broken at Fast Lane? Then there's fucking Braun Strowman. Listen, the myth that Braun Strowman is a great wrestler, it's overblown. He's fine. Once you see the pattern of Braun Strowman matches, you can't unsee it. But you know what? Roman Reigns got a really good match out of the guy doing the Braun Strowman pattern match. They go in there, they do the match. It's so easy. Undertaker, in some form or fashion, has got to distract Roman Reigns, and Braun Strowman wins. And you do Undertaker and Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. And you know what? You keep Braun Strowman's undefeated streak intact. The guy's never been pinned or submitted in his whole WWE career, they said. And you know what? When I look back at the last year, say what you want about Braun Strowman, and I've said plenty, but they fucking built a guy over the last year. Braun fucking Strowman. Who could have ever imagined? They finally were doing something with a guy. Now, I understand you build up monsters so that somebody could beat them and benefit from it. Great. That's awesome. Roman fucking Reigns, it's been 3 years. Like, how did I not know better? How did I not know better? Of course, Roman Reigns is going to end the win streak of Braun Strowman. You dumb shit, Brian, you should have fucking known that going in. I had faith that, goddamn, this is guy's right up Vince's alley. He's big, he's ugly, he roars, he's got a fucking beard, like, the people are into him. Maybe they're actually going to do something with the fucking guy. Little did I know, yeah, they did all that work so Roman Reigns could win again. Fuck off! None of this matters, but it all matters. If I have to hear Michael Cole tell me one more stat. Do you remember when our friend Mark freaked out about that fucking facts video? If I have to hear one more fact on these fucking shows about stats and records, for them to just whittle them all away. Nia's win streak whittled away. For what? For fucking nothing at Fastlane. Charlotte's win streak over 18 pay-per-views whittled away. For what? Fucking nothing at Fastlane. Braun Strowman's record over the last year whittled away. For what? Fucking nothing at this fucking show. Why? The fuck am I doing with my life? God damn it, this made me mad.
You know the amazing...
Could you fuck up one more thing on this pay-per-view? Jesus Christ.
The amazing thing is, you like the show better than I did.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, this is why... No, here's the thing, everybody. You can read Death of WCW if you want to. Nothing that I wrote in that book applies to this company. Nothing. They're the biggest fucking company in the world, and they grossed $750 million. Do you hear me? They ain't fucking going out of business. They ain't losing their TV deal. There's no guy that's going to come in and decide that he doesn't like wrestling and he's going to cancel it. They can make every fucking mistake in the book. It doesn't matter. None of this shit matters. And what is also different from WCW is the shows, like, it's not a bad show. There was a lot of good wrestling on this show. There was some shit that was bad, but like, I mean, was there anything on this show where if you're a wrestling fan, you watch this show and you were like, dude, I'm done with wrestling? I mean, maybe if you're so sensitive to the booking, I'm sure maybe 5 people decided they're never watching wrestling again. But 99.9% of the people on Twitter who have insisted that this is it, they're never watching this show again, of course they're going to. This thing is going to just linger on forever. They're going to have highs, they're going to have lows. None of this matters. But you know what? As a longtime fan who deep down in my soul, I love wrestling, I just want a little bit of stuff to matter. I just want this fucking much to matter. They don't care. I could not possibly care less about WrestleMania. And you know what? At the beginning of the year, I'm the guy who has the opinion that everyone gets pissed off at because, I really like that fucking fight with that fucker last night that lost every round even though he was such a great stand-up guy. I have to be that guy. But you know what? At the beginning of the year, I was that guy in reverse. Everybody else saw the WrestleMania card and they were like, oh my God, this fucking WrestleMania sucks. I saw it and I thought, you know what? This may be a really good WrestleMania. I had all of these ideas to make the biggest show of the year, the showcase of the Immortals, feel like the big show of the year. And they have single-handedly crushed my hopes and dreams and made me look like a fucking idiot. I could not possibly care about this show. I don't care about Roman Reigns and The Undertaker. I don't care about... There's a fucking 4-way with the women. Who could possibly care? Who could possibly care about John Cena and Nikki Bella against The Miz and Maurice, aside from Mike Sempervive? Apparently he's the guy. Who the fuck could possibly care about any of this? I'm amazed. Like the one thing that he's stuck to, he's just fucking stuck to it, is this Goldberg-Kevin Owens match, or this Goldberg-Brock Lesnar match. Everything is exactly as it has been laid out since Survivor Series. He hasn't changed one fucking thing. But somehow, I know that between now and Mania, something's gonna get fucked up. Because everything else got fucked up. Who fucking cares? I'm so happy I'm not going right now. I'm so happy. There was part of me that was like, maybe Mania's gonna be great, and I'll think, man, I should have gone. Hasn't happened yet. Has not happened yet. I could not believe my eyes watching this show. May as well start at the beginning.
So we'll start at the beginning. Samoa Joe versus Sami Zayn. Samoa Joe has been a great wrestler for more than a decade now, and unbelievably awesome since coming up to the main roster. Sami Zayn has also been great for more than a decade, and he has the gimmick of having the best match in every show. They came out here, had a match that was slightly better than what you would see on Raw. They fought on top. Sami dropped Joe's face in the turnbuckles. He tried the Mafia kick, but Joe caught him with a Uranagi and choked him out for the win.
I've said it before, I'll say it again. I don't want to be that guy, but these guys got 9 minutes for this match. Big Show and Rusev got 9 minutes.
Yeah.
And Jinder Mahal and Cesaro got another 8.5 minutes. You couldn't cut both of those fucking matches and give these guys 20 minutes. Is it that hard?
Apparently.
This was a pretty damn good match. It could have been a great match. But instead, we had to give them 9 minutes to make sure that we had Jinder Mahal versus Cesaro and Rusev versus Big Show unadvertised.
You like this match a lot more than I did. I thought they could have done a lot more with the time they did have, and I did not need to see the match they did do for 20 minutes instead of 9.
Well, I just figured with 20 minutes it would have been a much better match.
It would be better than the Jinder Mahal match.
Thank you.
That I will grant you.
And the Rusev match.
And the Rusev match, too. Charlie interviewed Bayley. Bayley said if Dana Brooke did not get involved in her match against Charlotte tonight, they'd find out who the better woman was. Nia Jax interrupted, promised to tear Sasha apart, and said that if Charlotte did not beat Bayley for the title, then she would.
Now, I went to our board because a friendly fella, I wish I'd written his name down, but he had the actual stats. These are the actual pay-per-view stats for Charlotte. She is 19-1 on pay-per-view. She was 16-0 in singles matches on pay-per-view. And she was 15-0 in championship matches on pay-per-view. Now, it'd be one thing if some fan on a random message board went through and got these stats and it wasn't a storyline on TV. But you know what? It was a storyline on TV. And this was the payoff. I still cannot even believe my eyes that I saw this tonight.
Enzo and Cass versus Anderson and Gallows. Babyfaces cut a very long promo, sucking up to local sports teams like never before. So during this match, It's no fun. There's a long moment of silence, and then Michael Cole says, perfect chin lock being applied here by Anderson. That summarized this entire match right now. Eventually, Cass tagged in, and I will say, Cass's comeback was very good. Once Cass got the hot tag, it was much better. It was like he could tell how boring the match was and that it needed to be saved. The challengers hit the funniest rocket launcher ever when Anderson was too close to the corner. So Enzo goes up top, and Cass gets in the position to launch him. But then Enzo has to jump straight up, and Cass has to run out of the way. And Enzo comes straight down, lands on his feet, and then sort of hits a splash. Shortly thereafter, I believe Anderson hit a boot, made a cover. Enzo got a foot on the ropes, but Gallows knocked it off. The ref counted 3. A sucky match.
See, I thought this match was fine because it was perfect. They beat on Enzo, who ragdolled himself all over the place. There was a good hot tag. It was fine. I've seen a million matches worse than this. I've had to see Enzo make a hot tag. There ain't nothing worse than that.
Fair enough.
I've seen Enzo having to beat up both guys at the beginning. Ain't nothing worse than that. They worked this match exactly how they should have worked this match. The right team won. I came up with a brilliant idea in this match, if I do say so myself. Although I'm not going to get too invested because they do everything wrong. They always do a spot where the heels are outside and Cass grabs Enzo and he picks him up over his head and he throws him onto the bad guys.
Right.
Okay. Well, if you've been watching this show, and since they cut everything on Hulu, you haven't seen this, I'm sure. Enzo is getting so annoying that Cass, he's trying to calm the guy down. The guy's out of control. On Monday, Cass walked out on the guy because he was too out of control. It seems that a split might be coming. And I thought, the best way to do this split is you do a match, and Enzo's being so goddamn annoying, and the two heels or baby faces or whoever end up outside. Cass goes and he lifts Enzo up over his head to throw him on the pile, but then he turns around and he throws him the other way onto the ground. Enzo crashes and burns. Team breaks up. Enzo's hospitalized for 2 weeks. It'd be awesome. Plays into this storyline they do in every match.
Mick Foley was talking on the phone to Stephanie.
If he could throw him on alligators, it'd be even better.
Excuse me?
You heard me. Trying to bring some levity to this show.
Mick Foley was talking on the phone to Stephanie, whose plane was stuck. Lucky her. She didn't have to watch the show. She revealed she would not make it. It was up to Foley to make sure everything ran smoothly. Nia Jax versus Sasha Banks.
God, did they throw Foley under the bus?
Of course they did.
Oh my God.
There's never been a bigger goof on Raw than Mick Foley in the past year or so.
This guy needs to go just get his hip done, go home, love your kids, and have a good life.
Just go be Santa.
Because, God, they're killing you on this show.
This match killed me. Struggling to stay awake here as Nia put her in holds. She used a torture rack and did some squats with a 100-pound woman on her back like I'm supposed to be impressed. And then Sasha came back with holds. She actually hit the bank statement, which got a big reaction. Nia escaped, hit a spine buster, but then Sasha had an O'Connor roll out of nowhere for the win. The most dominant female they've ever had, pinned with a random roll-up in the second match on the card.
So, listen, this fucking four-way with Nia Jax. We had a tag match with Nia, and God bless the girl, she's so not at the level of these other three girls. So she's got one thing going for her. She's big, and she's a dominant... She's not like other girls. I think we got that clear. She's a big, dominant monster. Now, if we go back and we ask why she, tapped out at Survivor Series or whatever the hell it was, that's another story entirely. But you know what? It's been a long time. Push her as a monster. Nope. They rolled her up and pinned her. The one thing she had going for her. Now, I care even less about seeing her in this four-way. And you know what? I'll add to this. The finish was fucked up. I saw this on TV, and I was like, this is the fakest thing I've ever seen. Sasha's 90 pounds. Nia, they bill her as 285. Nia rolls her up with a cradle, and, Nia can't kick out.
Yeah.
It's preposterous. So later, I find out that the finish was supposed to be that Sasha would do the O'Connor roll and grab the ropes for leverage. Well, she either forgot or was out of position. I think she forgot because after the finish, she grabbed the ropes and fell out of the ring. So they tried to protect Nia, but it got fucked up, so now she was protected even less.
Why didn't they just have her win?
She was gonna win. Like they changed the finish to the day of the show. Why? I have no idea.
Nia's reaction looked like a woman who just realized she had fucked up on a pay-per-view.
It wasn't her fault. It was Sasha's fault. Yeah. Sasha's the one that was supposed to grab the ropes.
Unless Nia was, because it started with, did it start with Sasha on Nia's back? So maybe Nia was too far away when they started the spot?
Well, the point is,
I could be wrong.
Once the ref counted, Sasha grabbed the ropes to get out of the ring while she was still in the cradle.
I see, okay.
So she was close enough.
Okay. We had Jinder Mahal and Rusev in a pre-show angle. Jinder Mahal putting together a fine collection of veins on display. So the team broke up here. They just said, we don't want a team anymore. And Foley said, okay. That's the best they could do for a breakup angle. Foley says, let's do a best of 7 series. Everyone involved agreed this was a terrible idea. They made a joke of the fact that nobody actually wanted to see these two wrestle 7 times. So instead, Foley said, I shall book you both in separate singles matches. So Jinder comes out. Rusev comes out. They argue about who's going to wrestle their singles match first. Because it turns into a brawl. Jinder wins. Jinder Mahal beat up Rusev in a fair fight.
Now, keep in mind, whatever he did to Rusev came back at the end of the Cesaro-Jinder match, like at the very end of the match. So for those keeping track, Rusev was down for 8 minutes before he was able to recover from whatever Jinder had done to him.
Jinder, by the way, beat up Rusev, and it was so easy that he was then fine to wrestle Cesaro for, I believe you said this went 8.5 minutes. That is a lie. This went for 8.5 days. This match was fucking awful. I will not hear any other claim.
And 20 seconds.
It sucked from the get-go. It got worse as it went on. Crowd was booing openly, booing both men, chanting for CM Punk, booing more, chanting for Zack Ryder, booing more. Cesaro finally makes his comeback.
Chanted for Goldberg. They chanted 10-10-10. They chanted
anything. Any other man on the roster other than this Jinder Mahal bastard. Cesaro makes his comeback. I've seen Cesaro do a lot of matches at a lot of companies over the years. I have never seen him have to dial his own intensity down to half speed so the other guy could keep up like this.
That's a problem. You missed watching the Hulu Raw, the Cesaro match with Enzo.
I bet, was that worse than this?
It was unfathomably worse.
I did see this. There's the out of the ring spot. That was worse than anything on here. This was just unbelievably boring. It went on and on and on and on. And then Cesaro could not beat Jinder Mahal clean. Oh no. Rusev distracted Jinder. Cesaro won with a pop-up uppercut.
Yeah.
Most of this match was a negative star match. I will say that Cesaro's big spots that people still liked. So a 1/4 star.
Wow.
Charitable.
That is extraordinarily favorable. Or charitable.
Either way,
favorable.
Both work. So after the match, Rusev destroyed Jinder Mahal. Hopefully this means he gets fired. Then we got Rusev versus Big Show.
I didn't even rant about this in my opening.
You mentioned it. You touched on it, but you moved on quickly.
What in the hell was this finish? Are you kidding me? They just totally destroyed and squashed Rusev in this match. He fought valiantly like a babyface against the Big Show, the giant Big Show. And then he got punched and pinned.
Not even that. Rusev now has been beat up by his partner, had to come back from that to face this giant. The giant is working him over in a slow, boring, plodding manner. Crowd is chanting USA even as he's winning on him. Rusev comes back, uses some holds and some super kicks. He tries the camel clutch, but Show pushes him out of the ring. As Rusev is coming back in, Show catches him with a flash chokeslam out of nowhere. Everyone cheers. And then Show pulls down the singlet to show off his giant abs that aren't there anymore. Hits another chokeslam. Crowd is chanting one more time. So Show says, okay, hits a 3rd chokeslam. And he drags Rusev's dead body over to the corner and rests his head on the turnbuckle. And I'm thinking, what in the hell is happening here? And then Show hit the knock-up punch to the man who was already dead in the corner. This is a blatant shot to a downed opponent. This would be disqualification in UFC for years. And pinned him. I guess to set Show up for the match with the basketball player that's not happening. I don't know.
I have absolutely no idea. I mean, I don't know what Rusev did. I mean, the rumor, I don't know if this is true, but apparently when Jack Swagger was released, Rusev did a big thank you to him Maybe they're mad at him about that. I don't know. All I know is this was so dumb. Who cares? Why am I even... Listen, I will say one thing. As much as I love Rusev, his new haircut, massive negative. What in the hell was this idea?
The funny thing, it looks okay, all slicked back and groomed like a pretty boy. But then when he actually starts to wrestle, and it
goes all over the place.
It gets spiky. Yes.
It's atrocious.
He's actually uglier now.
It's not even that. It's like, I think he cut his hair because now he's going full into the handsome Rusev thing. Mm-hmm. But the key is, with that gimmick, you can't be handsome. You know what I mean? So why would you get a haircut designed to make you look better? And then what's worse is, once he starts wrestling, it looks worse. Like, it doesn't look worse in the sense that he's uglier. It looks worse in the sense that before, he looked like somebody. Now he looks like anybody. He's just a guy. He's just a fella now with that haircut.
I disagree with your notion that this can't work if he is actually handsome. This is not Los Guapos. This is a man.
Well, no.
This is more gorgeous.
He's not ugly.
You know what this is going to be? It's going to be gorgeous Jimmy Garvin. Handsome Rusev and his wife Lana.
Yeah, Jimmy Garvin.
Well, the guy who can work circles around Jimmy Garvin.
Jimmy Garvin wasn't ugly, but he wasn't like a really good-looking guy.
But he was styled.
Sure.
He didn't have long. Well, he did have long hair, but it was not just a random long haircut.
It.
He permed it.
Well,
he styled it up. He teased it up. Had a hang over his bangs.
Rusev should have stopped wetting his hair. He should have just let it dry and permed it. Come out working like that. Thank you.
You win. I yield. You have won the debate.
Thank God I won something. All I've been doing is losing.
Austin Aries introduced his own tremendous video package.
Got Charlie and Kevin Owens.
Oh, I did skip over that. Charlie interviewed Kevin Owens in his cheap suit. He denied this was the biggest match of his career, pointed out Goldberg had one win in the past decade plus actually, while he himself had been beating the best in the industry in 2 years with the company. Austin Aries introduced his own video package, all sorts of jokes about how they had to cut this down from 4 hours long because his package was too massive. Neville versus Jack Gallagher.
God bless these men.
Yeah.
Thank God for these two men. This match was so great. It's even greater now in hindsight, looking at the rest of the show.
This actually was the exact point when this show turned around, because I swear to you, there were boring chants here before the bell rang. This was a hostile environment for these men.
And you know what? They got him.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what? If you go back to the Seattle 205 Live, when they were here, Raw or the SmackDown taping ended, and they trot out these poor guys for this goofy 205 Live. And granted, like 80% of the crowd stuck around, which was astonishing in itself. They weren't at all into the first match. They were deadly silent. They weren't at all into the second match. They were deadly silent. Then came the multiple person match with Jack Gallagher, and Jack Gallagher doing all of his spots and the jump off the rope with the umbrella. They got the crowd into that match. This is 2 matches now where Jack Gallagher has taken a dead crowd and turned them around. This guy's something special. Hopefully they figured it out.
So the story of this match was Gallagher was the clear underdog. He was a smaller man. Neville's the better striker, the better fighter, the better brawler, the better wrestler, the better flyer. And Gallagher was the underdog in every way, but he had one weapon for which Neville apparently had no answer. And that weapon was the no-hands headbutt. And when Gallagher was able to spring this move out...
Is there another kind of headbutt?
You can grab a guy's head and headbutt him. Neville Gallagher does it without grabbing the guy's head. So, anyway, every time Gallagher was in deep trouble, suddenly he'd fire off with his headbutt, he'd catch Neville off guard, and Neville would be down. And Gallagher would have a chance to make a comeback. So they're trading strikes, and instead of doing both guys doing elbows, Neville's doing like kicks to the face, and Gallagher's firing back with his headbutt, and he gets him down. He about got suplexed onto his head, in fact, perhaps to prevent these headbutts from ever happening again. But he survived. They went up top, and Neville went up top, and Gallagher hit one last headbutt, and Neville sells this by draping his body back over the top of the post, which is now a big giant platform so he can lean there. He's totally dead. And Gallagher thinks, this is it, I've got him. And he goes up for a superplex or something, but Neville fights him off, drops him down neck first to the mat, hits the red arrow for the win. By far the best match on the show, although that is saying very little.
It is, but I absolutely love this match. It was good enough I would watch it again. God, it was great. Loved it.
The other thing I should add here, just like the match itself, the best thing on the show to this point, although that's not saying much, Austin Aries was so awesome on commentary here, although he replaced Byron Saxton, so it's not saying much.
I know. Austin is good on commentary, but he's not going to be there long because he's going to be back wrestling.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Since I ranted and raved, I always like to be a balanced man. I'll give more praise to WWE. mentioned this on the Retro Show, but you have to, you hear me? I command everyone to give WWE and Vince McMahon credit. Normally, whenever they do something, it's just an exact ripoff or it's the way they've always done it. When they did their light heavyweight division in 1997, they made the cardinal mistake of putting the light heavyweights in matches with the heavyweights, exposing their size and making them look like fucking geeks. They have not done that here one time. These little guys only wrestle other little guys. Mm-hmm. They got their own show. You never see Neville in there with Braun Strowman getting squashed, or Jack Gallagher in there with somebody the size of Jack Swagger getting beaten. They don't mix and match at all. That is a gigantic positive. So good job, WWE. And great match.
Charlie interviewed Paul Heyman. He explained that no matter what happened in the championship match tonight, it was a win for Brock Lesnar. Because either Goldberg would win, and thus the Goldberg-Brock match at Mania would be for the title, or Owens would win. This would expose a weakness in in Goldberg that Lesnar could exploit at WrestleMania, and then after beating Goldberg at Mania, Lesnar could win the title later. New Day came out with an ice cream cart.
Oh, God. I feel so bad. I bury them on every show. And it's the weirdest thing because I love Big E. I love Kofi Kingston. I love Xavier Woods. I can't handle these New Day segments. They're terrible. They're coming out here, plugging their ice cream. Every time they do one of these wacky segments, all I can think is they're going to be out there for 6 hours at WrestleMania. They're the hosts of the show. We're going to see them 15 times doing this stuff throughout the show.
They also had owls in their gear. I suspect this is just because they say "who" as part of their gimmick.
Yes.
But when I first saw it, I thought that's a rib on the Impact logo, and it's too bad that changed. So they explained Booty-O's started as a joke and are turned into a real cereal, thanks to the people. And now they need the people's help again, because this ice cream thing has started as a joke, but they want to turn this into a real thing as well. And that was it. They came on a pay-per-view to announce they want to make ice cream.
Slow build.
Braun Strowman versus Roman Reigns.
All right. Let's talk about the pattern of every Braun Strowman match. It's kind of like, you ever seen when Charlotte does a reversal in the ring? Or when she goes to whip somebody into the ropes? Have you ever seen, like, I'm not a ballroom dancer, I don't really know what it is, but they do the thing where, like, the girl steps into, like, a arabesque or whatever, and she puts both of her arms out wide, like Mickey Mouse. Charlotte does this every time she whips or reverses. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, God damn it, I cannot unsee this anymore. Here's the Braun Strowman match. He throws the babyface around. He throws him hither. He throws him yon. Then he runs and he hits something. He hits the steps or he hits the post every time. Then he gets the heat and he applies a hold. Then he applies another hold. Then he applies another hold. And then, sure enough, the babyface starts making a comeback because Braun runs into something again. Then you do a bunch of near falls and you do the finish. Every single time it's a pattern. Hey, Roman Reigns, I know people hate the guy. I am furious that he beat Braun Strowman. I am furious that they just won't turn the guy heel or just try something different. But you, unless you are blinded by your outrage and hatred, you cannot deny that the guy is a very good worker. He got a very good match out of Braun Strowman. There was a lot of smoke and mirrors, I'm not going to lie, but this was a good match. Now the finish can fuck off, but whatever, it's over, it's done with, who cares?
There wasn't that much smoke and mirrors.
Well,
one table spot.
There's a big table spot and a lot of roaring.
This match built well, which is a nice way of saying the first half sucked.
It's just a slow build.
It was a very slow build. But the second half was really good. It's really good. I've said this before, but Roman Reigns is so awesome. I don't understand. I just don't understand the anti-Roman thing.
Because it's a gimmick now.
I guess so. So, they're doing this match, and like I say, this was probably a 20-minute match, and the last 5 minutes were the good stuff. And they actually took turns going into corners. Actually, that's the very, very finish. We had the table spot, as mentioned. We had a tease of a spear through a barricade, but Braun avoided it. We had the power slam through announce desk. Then Roman got thrown into the ring, but he no-sold the announce desk spot and hit a spear for a near fall. They took turns going into corners, and Roman hit 2 Superman punches, but then Braun just waylaid him with his whole body. And then came Braun's... This is the key point in the match. Braun had this man down, but Braun says, I've got an idea. I'm going to climb up to that top rope. And Braun climbs the top rope, and he stands there on the top rope, stands just not like grabbing the top rope, like he's in a squat. No, he's standing straight up and down on the top rope. The turnbuckle is bending all the way down, almost touching the middle turnbuckle, because he's huge. And he flies through the air, and Roman dodges the splash. No water in the pool. Strowman crashes and burns. And then Roman finally hits one more spear and pins him. And the key to this is, it's a clean win, but they still somewhat protected Strowman in that he made one big rookie mistake. He took one risk he didn't need to take. He basically beat himself, and then Roman finished him off.
Listen, I'll say it again because I seem to have to say things like 9 times, otherwise people don't hear it. Braun was not killed by this finish.
No.
He'll be fine. The point was, he shouldn't have lost. It doesn't mean his career's over. It doesn't mean that Braun Strowman is never going to get a pop or have the people chant for him or have them like him or chant. It's not the end of the world. It was just the wrong time. There's a time to beat a guy. This was not the time.
Now, as far as this show goes...
And you know why else I got really mad? Because back in January, I really started thinking about where they could be going with all of this. And I knew they were going to do Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman at this pay-per-view. And I got to thinking. And I was like, what are they going to do here? And I thought, what would Vince McMahon do? Well, Vince would have Roman Reigns beat Braun Strowman. And then he'd have Roman Reigns beat The Undertaker. He would slay 2 giants, which would lead to SummerSlam, where he would beat Brock Lesnar in the singles match that Vince has wanted to do for 3 years now, and win the WWE Championship. I thought, it's got to be what they're doing. This is Vince. But you know what? Like a goddamn fucking idiot, as time went on, I was just watching the TV and I thought, you know, Braun, he's right up Vince's alley. Look at this guy. He's big. He's ugly. I mean, he's everything Vince wants in a big monster. Maybe they won't beat Braun Strowman. And maybe they'll lead to SummerSlam, and maybe Braun will beat Brock Lesnar for the championship. At least that's something new that we haven't tried for 3 fucking years. And I convinced myself that maybe that's what they were going to do. At the end of the day, I was a goddamn idiot. I never learn. I should have known. And even if I had known, it was still stupid.
Foley met with Joe, warned him not to interfere in the main event, and he didn't, so all right. Bayley versus Charlotte. Dana came in on stage with Charlotte, but then Charlotte immediately ordered her to the back. So for most of this match...
Who is the damn babyface here? Like, Bayley's supposed to be the top babyface in the promotion. Charlotte's the one here who comes out, she valiantly sends her second to the back because she's determined to win this match on her own. She goes out there, she's fucked by 2 girls, and gets pinned. What the fuck are they doing?
That actually is what happened.
It is, isn't it?
That's very
Am I
accurate.
wrong about anything that I just said?
No, not... Yeah. So, in fact, 2 girls and the ref who made a dumb decision. So,
and her promos are about how Bayley cheated to win the title, and she's undeserving. Number 1, Bayley did cheat to win the title with the help from her friend. Number 2, Stephanie said that she cheated and she's undeserving. Bayley agreed with Stephanie, but then still kept the title, and now her and her friend come out and cheat Charlotte out of not only her title, but her fucking record.
Yeah.
Am I living in the Twilight Zone?
Check, and check. You've got it all. So, the actual wrestling in this match
was good. What a shocker.
Yeah.
They had a good match.
Well, especially when Charlotte was in control. With the possible exception of Neville, this is the best grappling you would see on the show.
There was one fuck up in the match.
Well,
and I want to explain it to everybody.
One horrible fuck up, but...
So they did a deal where Charlotte got tied in the Tree of Woe. And for those of you that never wrestled, what happens is, if you sit on the top rope with your legs hanging over the ropes, when you lean back, you're supposed to hook one of your feet under the top turnbuckle.
Yes.
The turnbuckle is the metal part between the rope and the post.
Yes.
That's the turnbuckle. You're supposed to hook your foot under that. Somehow, Charlotte not only had her foot hooked there, but her other foot got wrapped around the top rope and under the middle rope, and she fell back and she couldn't get her foot out.
Uh-huh.
So she's like legit stuck in the tree of woe. This is rare. Like, she's really fucking stuck. She can't get out. So it's like her and Bayley and the referee are trying to figure out how to get her unstuck without making it totally obvious that she's really stuck. And time stands still. And finally, and this makes no sense in real life or in the context of the fake WWE universe, but finally, Bayley just unstuck her because she's like, she can't get her fucking foot out. I got to get her foot out for her. And then they just kept going. I don't know what their plan was, but
what they did was Charlotte's in the tree of woe. Bayley goes to run and do that jump off the bottom rope into a kick or a stomp or an elbow, and then she just lands on her feet and looks at Charlotte. Now, that was awful. Like, that was a very, very terrible moment in a wrestling match. But let's not pretend Bayley's comeback was any good besides this. She had a really, really bad comeback tonight. It looked awful. So she's doing this comeback, hits a top rope run and a top rope elbow, and Charlotte kicks out of that. Let's see. Bayley kicks out of natural selection. Charlotte slams her from the apron to the floor, throws her back in, is going to do something to finish her off, and then Sasha runs out and starts brawling with Charlotte. Right in front of me, right in front of all the fans, right in front of the ref. But it's on the floor, so I guess not a DQ. Because then at least Charlotte would have won and kept a streak alive.
that's the whole point.
Yes.
If they would have done a DQ and Charlotte would have retained the title, you go to WrestleMania, Charlotte pins whoever the fuck in the four-way. May as well have been Nia. Doesn't matter anymore. Charlotte's the champion. Bayley got fucked out of her belt. Bayley goes to her hometown, wins the belt back, and breaks a streak all in the same night. They fucked it all up here.
So, yeah. So, Sasha and Charlotte brawling on the floor was not a DQ. Sasha being in the ring in front of the referee was not a DQ. Bayley then hit Charlotte with a belly to Bayley on the floor after another woman had been fighting with Charlotte. Threw her back in. Charlotte recovered valiantly. She overcame all this interference and cheating in a finisher on the floor. She hit a small package, hooked the tights in an attempt to even the odds. Sasha stooged her off, sticking her nose where it don't belong. The ref stops the count. Bayley hits the belly to Bayley, wins the match, still champion, ends the streak. So, in like 3 weeks' time, there have been two good stories that they could have done for WrestleMania. They could have done Bayley winning the title at the biggest stage of them all and ending Charlotte's pay-per-view streak, or they could have done, I know they're doing a four-way, but it could have been billed as Bayley versus Charlotte, streak versus title. That's out the window too now. We'll just do a four-way with a bunch of women who've all already lost.
Yeah. Biggest show of the year, baby.
And after it's over, they're all just going to keep wrestling each other again because there's no one else.
Oh, yeah. Well, then they'll probably do a draft and just
wrestling
shuffle it up
purgatory
a little bit.
Match wasn't bad.
No, it was a good match. There's nothing wrong with the wrestling on the show, everybody. How many times do I have to say that? The wrestling on the
that's not
show...
true. There's nothing wrong with the wrestling show in some of the matches.
The middle portion was terrible.
The first half was terrible.
Now listen, Goldberg and Owens are about to have this match. Now, what I found, here's the most notable thing about this. Forget everything else. Here's the most notable thing. I thought for sure that when the day finally came, that Kevin Owens was going to lose the title in 18 seconds or whatever to Goldberg. I actually thought that everybody might turn on Goldberg. Didn't happen. They chanted his name before they even played anybody's music. They chanted his name on the way to the ring. They chanted his name after Kevin Owens' entrance. They chanted his name during the match. They chanted his name after the match. The fans still love Goldberg. Nobody is mad that he's walked in from the mountains, wherever the hell he's been, walked in, beaten Brock Lesnar, beaten Kevin Owens, now he's a champion. There's like no blowback. It's kind of mind-blowing. This audience that will not give Roman Reigns a break. They're totally behind Goldberg doing all this. Now the other thing, before we even get into the match, Goldberg's walking to the ring, and Michael Cole says, Bill Goldberg, undefeated in singles matches on WWE pay-per-views. And I was like, if you give me one more fucking stat, I'm going to fly to Stamford. I'm so sick of these stats. What's the point? Listen, I don't know if everyone's aware of this or not. This is a fake business. They make everything up. They book their own storylines. Like, it's fake. What's the point of going full bore into all of these stats if you make them all meaningless. Like even the New Day, they're talking forever about how the New Day is going to be the longest reigning tag champs of all time. They fucking break the record and they lose the title a week later. I mean, every single one of these records, they're meaningless because they make them meaningless. All they did on this show was make stats meaningless. And now we're building up a new stat. Goldberg's never been beaten in a singles match at a fucking pay-per-view.
You actually do sound like Michael Cole when you say that. So, it was what everyone expected, especially when they were in the ring with a bell about to ring at 10:59 p.m. East Coast time.
They didn't even pretend this would be long.
No! They didn't give him the illusion. Owens then stalled for 4 minutes. And when I say stalled, he left the ring, he stood there. A minute would go by, he would get on the apron, he climbed back down and stand there. We're all waiting. Corey Graves, trying to, bless his heart, he says this is part of Owens' plan. Goldberg is going to blow himself up by pacing back and forth. Does not do wonders for the athleticism of your challenger, if that's what you're telling me.
I mean, listen, I kind of understood what he said. Like, Goldberg is all jacked up and pacing, but I mean, if this were real, that guy burns a lot of energy doing his ring entrance. Fucking attack him immediately. Don't give him time to breathe.
I don't know. So, 4 minutes go by. Owens, I guess he thinks he's inside Goldberg's head now. I'm honestly not sure what made this 4 minutes, why it was better for Owens now to have the bell ring than it was 4 minutes ago. But he hits the ring. He says, "Ring the effing bell." He didn't actually say that. But as he says this, Jericho's music hits. He comes out on stage. Owens turns toward the stage, turns back. Goldberg spears him. Goldberg jackhammers him, pins him to win the title. There you go. We're doing Goldberg Lesnar for the title at Mania. Owens and Jericho. Roman and Taker. They'll have to set that up tomorrow night somehow. I really don't know how.
I don't either. They could have easily done it tonight, but instead we just had to beat Braun Strowman.
Don't know what they're doing with Joe. Don't know what they're doing with Strowman.
I mean, listen. I mean, maybe Undertaker is going to beat Roman at Mania, but I kind of figured that it's Vince. Roman's probably beaten Undertaker at Mania. So if Roman's beaten Undertaker at Mania, Roman eliminated Undertaker at the Rumble. I mean, is it the end of the world if Undertaker costs Roman the match against Braun Strowman, and Braun's win streak remains intact, and then Roman goes and gets his revenge at Mania, or whatever the hell you do? Is it that big a deal? Apparently it is. Got to give Roman that big win. Who cares? I'm done ranting.
Well, that was Fast Lane. Thumbs down.
Tony's been bugging me to plug the convention. I want to tell him this is the wrong show, dude. I just spent an hour talking about how I don't care one bit about WrestleMania. But hey, if you're interested in going to WrestleMania, or if you are going and you want to hang out with everybody that's going there, or you are interested in the convention, which is coming up in Las Vegas this summer over SummerSlam weekend, head to f4wonline.com/convention. Everything you ever wanted to know about it is up there. f4wonline.com/convention. Check it out, everybody. And that is it from here. We're going to wrap it up. I'll be back later on with Dave talking more. Check it out. We'll talk to you again after a while.
Good night.